We'll call the March 26th council meeting to order. Chief Huntley, would you give the invocation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for everyone that's gathered here this evening. Lord, we just ask that you watch over those and comfort those that are struggling this evening, Lord, and all of us in this room that have loved ones, friends, family who are struggling, Lord. We just ask that you comfort them this evening, Lord. And we ask that you watch over those that are watching over us every single day and night. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Chief Hawkins, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, Your Honor. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Enzer,
Present.
Taylor,
Present.
Blankenship,
Present.
Armstrong,
Present and
Blair,
Present.
Heckmaster, Cole,
Here.
Snow,
Here.
Ellick,
Here.
Cossey.
Here.
We'll move on to reading and consideration of minutes of the previous meeting. Mr. Ella.
Your Honor, I move that we approve the minutes of the March 12, 2024 regular and closed session. It's in our packet.
Second.
I have a motion to accept minutes of the March 12th meeting, regular and closed. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the council, step to the podium, state your name and address, and you will be given 5 minutes.
Good evening. Dustin Edge. I live at 1490 Piper Drive. Over the past several months, I've had several conversations with Ward 3 citizens, and with that, I actually have a few questions that are open to anybody on the council. I understand you may not want to answer now, but if you want to take the opportunity when you have the opportunity later in the meeting to have your address. The first question I have is, why do we not live stream all council-related meetings? The technology is in place, but we do not live stream anything but the actual city council meetings. Those meetings are the beginnings of most council bills and resolutions. The second question I have is, has the city council, or the city and the council, reviewed the available software options to improve communication and engagement with citizens? And the final question I have is actually directed to the council members. What do you do now to facilitate feedback with your constituents? Do you start that conversation and create an opportunity, or do you wait for constituents to come to you? And one other, not a question, but a suggestion, is I actually enjoyed the 2022 State of the City address. I think continuing with that, with some changes, would be phenomenal for the citizens. Actually mainly opening it up to either pre-qualified questions or Q&A built into that time period. I do believe that could be a beneficial option for that State of the City address. As an increase in communication helps everyone understand the needs and priorities that be on the forefront for the city's work efforts and planning. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm John Patrick, 1002 Durward Hall Drive, here in Carthage. Since a new high school was built just south of our residence on Durward Hall, my wife and I have noticed students walking to school in the mornings alongside River Street. They could not walk on River as the traffic is very heavy, if you all have ever been out there. On the rainy or wet days, I could imagine how uncomfortable the students would be putting up with wet shoes and socks in the mornings when they go to school after slogging through the weeds when it rains and so on. Approximately 2 years ago, I came before the council and made a request that a sidewalk be built alongside River Street for safety. My family was getting tired of me complaining about the situation and doing nothing to help the situation. The change came when I made the plea before the council. From that presentation, Greg Dagnan, Zeb Carney, who's not here, I wish he was, worked with Alan Snow, our councilman, to request a grant to build the sidewalk, which is now finished. Now there's rarely a time you don't see students or neighborhood residents using the new sidewalk. We as citizens are always ready to complain and blame our city for various issues. This is not that time. This is time to give credit where credit is due. My wife and I want to give a big thank you to Greg, Zeb, and Alan for making a positive difference for students and residents in the neighborhood. They were the ones that made this happen. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good evening, I'm Joel Terry. I'm 2219 Allison Street. First of all, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Resurrection Sunday. I've been hearing a lot lately about sunshine law violations. To educate myself, I looked it up on the internet. I found that the Missouri Attorney General has compiled a list of, quote, 10 things you should know about the sunshine law, end quote. Due to time constraints, I won't read them all, but I'd like to point out number 6 on the list. And I quote again, the sunshine law requires a custodian of records to respond to a records request as soon as possible, but no later than 3 business days after the custodian receives it. The very first city council meeting I ever attended was in August of 23. It might have been July. It was at this meeting that Mr. Bill Putnam had mentioned requesting the minutes to the meeting required by city code to hire the city administrator. At the meeting on March 12th, Mr. Putnam asked the mayor about them again, to which the mayor indicated that he had delivered them. Thank you. I know that time is seemingly flying past me now, but I do not believe that between July of 23 and March of 24 is only 3 days. It's a very blatant violation of the sunshine law. I've been noticing a lot of ironies lately. A council member had a complaint against her that led to a censure resolution because she hurt someone's feelings. This administration has blatantly broken the sunshine law repeatedly, and there is a sound of crickets. A couple meetings ago, another council member brought up a need to replace the bridges on North Garrison. If I remember correctly, the cost was going to be approximately $10 million. Around the same time frame, the city purchased some completely undeveloped land for approximately $10 million. There's been an accusation of the administrator threatening a fellow employee. This issue has the potential to cost the city a lot of money. There's been a council member who also threatened the crowd at a council meeting. They didn't like the way this person's vote was cast. I've not seen evidence of investigations or motions of censure or charges being filed on either of these cases. Please, please, citizens of Carthage, vote on April 2nd. We need to correct this way of running a local government, or we're headed for an even bigger mess than we already have now. Thank you.
Holly Williams, and I live on South Baker Boulevard. And I'm here today to say something about the noise issue that I get through my home from my neighbor next door. I don't know if you guys do anything about that, because since it's a church next door, but it's a metal building, that it's not soundproof, where it blares into my home between 40 and 80 dBs. I've recorded on my cell phone. I basically also did the procedures of trying to communicate and try to call the cops and all that. And I looked into getting a lawyer, but no one's wanting to take my case, and that's why I'm here, to find out what I can do. What,
Okay. If you'll leave your name and number.
okay.
If I might,
Bill,
ma'am, we've already issued 3 citations, and every time that there's a noise violation, if you call, we'll issue more. It may require you to sign a complaint, but in the last, I would say 4 to 6 weeks, we've already issued 3 citations to that church for that exact violation. So please just keep calling, sign a complaint when you do, and we'll take care of it.
Okay, because I have been.
I know,
and
I'm well aware of that, and you're part of the reason why we've issued those 3 citations already.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're trying, just keep calling, okay?
Oh, okay.
all right. Thank you, Holly. All right, we'll move on to report of standing committees. Budget, Ways and Means, Chairman Snow.
Thank you, Your Honor. Budget Ways and Means Committee is currently between meetings. Our next meeting is on April 8th at 5:30 here in council chambers. We will start, I know yourself, myself, city administrator, and the department heads will start reviewing their budgets next week. So we have those meetings scheduled for next week.
Yep.
So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thanks, sir. Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Committee on Insurance Audits and Claims met in council chambers this evening at 5:30. We considered and discussed adding the Assistant City Administrator as an officer of the city, which you can find on the agenda as Council Bill 24-21 this evening. We also considered and discussed updating our Code of Ethics. Mr. Dowley provided some additional documents to consider, and a citizen encouraged some additional definitions that we might want to include. So the committee decided to table a discussion until April 23rd to allow for thorough review of those documents. Ms. Cox reported that the city's insurance provider, NPR, was raising our deductible from $1,000 to $25,000, which was shocking, but also is still well under what other providers would offer, and it's still a good deal for us, so we're going to continue with them.
Robin, that's only for a wind, hail, damage claim.
Thank you. For a wind, hail damage claim. And she also reported that they're continuing in the budget process and are now looking at revenue estimates. Mr. Dagnan added that they have included 2 new personnel positions in the budget based on the 5-year personnel plan that the city had talked about before. If those positions make it through budget cuts over the next few weeks and months, then those job descriptions will come to this committee later in the year. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 9th at 5:30 in council chambers.
All right, thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Ellis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Public Safety met last night here in council chambers, and actually the first item of business was Ms. Williams, the noise complaints about that. We did talk about that, as the chief said, that citations have been issued, and that'll be probably going to city court on that. So we appreciate you being here, though, and bringing that up again. Thank you. Additionally, we had a request, the Kellogg Lake Kids Fishing Day, and that is scheduled for June 8th, 2024. As in the past, there's kind of a dual relationship with the public services as well as with public safety. So we recommend, and at this time I move, that we enforce no fishing, public fishing from midnight June 2nd to June 8th until noon, and then close the appropriate roads on the south side of the lake on June 8th from 6 a.m. to noon.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to restrict the fishing as outlined midnight on, from the 2nd to the 8th, is that right? And then Kids Fishing Day on the 8th. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Honor. Additionally, Carthage Water and Electric is requesting for their big truck event. It's tied in with the Columbia School and will be held at the public library. They are requesting that have the closure of 7th Street from Garrison to Lyon on April 24th from 9 to 11, so they can put their trucks out there to have the kids go from the library over out and to look at the trucks and everything. So I would move that we approve the closure of 7th Street from Garrison to Lyon, as well as the intersection of Maple and 7th on the morning of Wednesday, April 24th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close 7th Street between Garrison and Lyon, and also the intersection at, where?
Maple and
Maple.
7th, where Maple runs into it, yes, sir.
On the 24th of April from 9 to 11 for the Carthage Water and Electric truck event. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Additionally, Chief Hawkins was representing Jen Kirby, who could not be here at the meeting, and we have the Food Truck Friday events. Those are April 12th, May 10th, June 14th, 12th of July, August 9th, September 13th. And what we have done in the past, and we're doing again this year, is to go ahead and approve these street closures now for all of those dates. So at this time, I would move that we do the closures beginning at 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. for each of the dates that I read off, closing 7th Street from Garrison to Main, and closing Lyon Street from 7th to Chestnut.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the closures on Food Truck Friday. I need to learn to speak. As outlined by Mr. Eliff. I'm not even going to attempt to
Dates.
get the dates down. Between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. on the dates outlined. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, we did have discussion of the committee of amending Chapter 4, the animals, the Code of Carthage, providing for some updated fees and definitions. It's being sent back for some rewriting, and that will come back to the committee. Then once that's agreed upon, it will be forwarded on to council for approval. Next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be April 15th, 2024. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Public Services Committee, Chairperson Enzer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Public Services Committee met on March 19th at 5:30 here in council chambers. Our first order of business was to talk about the Kids Fishing Day. We met with Jackie Boyer with the Kellogg Lake Board, and Kids Fishing Day is like it has been for several years, where they're using the free fishing weekend. She asked for permission to use Kellogg Lake, and so at this time, I would like to motion to allow the use of Kellogg Lake Park on June 8th from 8 to 12 for the Kids Fishing Day, to include closing the lake to public fishing from noon on June 2nd through 12 o'clock noon on June 8th. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I amend that to midnight, June 2nd, 12 a.m., June 2nd, to noon, June 8th?
A second.
Have a motion and a second to allow the use of Kellogg Lake Park for the Kids Fishing Day on the 8th of June, and no public fishing from midnight on June 2nd and through noon on June 8th. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next thing that we discussed was the Carthage R9 Dual Language Celebration at Central Park. The Dual Language Academy is wanting to use Central Park to host their inaugural Dual Language Celebration on May the 3rd. This will include a presentation for the pathway to the Seal of Biliteracy and the Seal of Biliteracy Awards. These are awards that high school students get for passing tests to be considered biliterate when they graduate. And so there will also be food trucks, but they are not in need of any road closures. So at this time, I would like to motion that we allow the use of Central Park on May 3rd from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the Carthage Dual Language Academy.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to allow the use of Central Park on May 3rd between 4 and 8 p.m. for the Carthage Schools Language Celebration. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then the next thing that we talked about was the donation to the Little League for equipment. You will see this as Resolution 2035. This is a donation of $5,000 from Carthage Youth Baseball. It is Resolution 2035. I did notice a typo on this on the agenda tonight. So at this time, I would like to move that we amend Resolution 2035 to read, a resolution providing for the formal acceptance of a donation to the City of Carthage by the Carthage Youth Baseball pursuant to city policy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend Resolution 2035 as outlined by Ms. Enzer. Any discussion?
And Your Honor, just to clarify, if anybody's not following on their agenda in their packet, it currently does read that it is the formal acceptance of a donation to the City of Carthage by the City Council. So that's what we're clarifying. It is actually from Carthage Youth Baseball.
All right, very good. All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, then the next item does not require any action by council. I'll just update you. We did, at our last council meeting, accept a donation from the House family. They had a family member pass away, and so they asked for donations to Little League in memoriam. And they did accept a couple of more checks. Those totaled $100 after we accepted that donation, but it's below the threshold of what needs to be voted on by council, but we did vote to accept that $100 donation. We also talked about Memorial Hall surplus items. You will see those in your packet. I think it's Appendix A, and that is Resolution 2036. Abby and her crew have been busy cleaning out Memorial Hall, some of the closets, and so there are some surplus items there. We also talked about the Rock Stadium. There is a rolling gate that we would like to repurpose. It's not being used at this time, and so the gate can be repurposed and add some fencing to be able to secure the shop area that's right there by the stadium. And so that is Resolution 2037. We also talked about parks signage. This will require a council bill in the future, but it is not ready yet. And we talked about a grant to the Youth Development Foundation. This is an exciting opportunity that we have. Let me pull it right up here. Yes, it is the MLB Youth Development Foundation. And what this grant will allow the Parks Department to do is to convert the lights to LED at Fair Acres. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we allow the Parks Department to pursue a grant written by Baker Tilly for the Youth Development Foundation for lighting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to allow the Parks Department to pursue a grant for lighting at ballpark. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We also heard staff reports. The golf rounds are up this year over last year. We've had some really great weather, so we're thinking that that might have been what has helped that with the favorable weather conditions. And we heard from Jen Kirby, our tourism director, and she shared that she had been at her first legislative day for the state, and she has been promoting Carthage at the state level. Our next meeting will be April 16th at 5:30 here in council chambers. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Public Works Committee, Chairman Armstrong.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are currently between meetings. Our next meeting will be April 2nd, 5:30 in council chambers.
All right, thank you, sir. Move on to report of special committees and board liaisons. Mr. Snow.
Thank you, Your Honor. Carthage Water and Electric Board met last Thursday, March 21st. On our agenda tonight, you'll see Council Bill 2422, which is an amended purchase power agreement for the power that we have already previously approved. This is moving that to an earlier date. When we get to that council bill, I believe Mr. Bryant is here to speak on that and tell us exactly what that change will mean. Also at the meeting, they announced that Missouri Rural Water Association has named Carthage Water and Electric the Water System of the Year. This is a pretty big deal. There are over 2,700. There are over 2,700 water systems in the state of Missouri, and someone had to nominate Carthage Water and Electric for this award. Once they were nominated, they came in, interviewed staff, and toured the facilities, and Carthage Water and Electric was selected as the only water system to get this award in the state. So that was a pretty big deal. Also, a couple of publications have featured Carthage Water and Electric. Our software provider, the Professional Computer Solutions, highlighted CWEP in their monthly newsletter on their 125 years of being here in the city of Carthage. And also the American Public Power Association highlighted Carthage Water and Electric and what they do every day to serve our community. So those are a couple of articles. I have the links that I can forward to everyone, that you can go online and read those articles. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Carthage Humane Society Board met March 22nd. They discussed various planned adoption events and fundraisers, including the Stray Gutty, which all my fellow council members and staff have a flyer on their desk discussing. That'll be on April 20th at Memorial Hall. Tickets must be purchased in advance, and they are taking silent auction donations. They also discussed the need for the city and community volunteers to start a TNR program, which stands for Trap, Neuter, and Release for feral cats. They have volunteers available to help with traps, but they need funding for the cost of the spay and neutering. They will meet again on April 18th.
All right, thank you. All right. Move on, mayor's report, basically it's budget time, and we did have a meeting with some insurance providers, just to kind of hear from a different company. And we will be ramping up the budget meetings here in the next week or so. So moving on to report or remarks of council members. Is there anything?
Just a congratulations to Carthage Water Electric. The #1 water system in the state is impressive. And I can say, I teach in Neosho, I drink their water, and ours is a lot better. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor? Anything?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Armstrong?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to answer a couple of questions that were posed earlier, I have also inquired about the use of broadcasting for other meetings. At least right now, It looks like it's a staffing issue because of all these meetings take place after hours. Making sure that we have somebody there who's qualified to run the equipment, manage the equipment, that's the main issue. I do think that at some point in the future, we will get to the point where we can broadcast all city business meetings. And, you know, my hope is that we broadcast all of them, so that would include things like McCune-Brooks Hospital Trust, Water and Electric. Anything that's pertinent to the business of the city, I think needs to be as public as possible. So that's something that we are looking into. Second, the bridges, which were discussed, the total cost of those bridges for replacement for all three would be closer to $30 million. And that is because it's not 10 million for all three, it's 10 million per bridge. With the second bridge being significantly more because it crosses over rail and water. So the cost of the three will be over 30 million. And the land which was just purchased was purchased cooperatively, which cost the city, I believe, only $1 million, with the contributions of several other local entities, including the Water and Electric, which pitched in $1.5 million, the Steadley Foundation, and the EDR grant program. So that was a cooperative that did not cost the city anywhere near a $10 million price tag. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Ms. Blair, anything?
Yes, I also would like to congratulate CWEP for that impressive award, and I appreciate Mr. Patrick for coming up and talking about the sidewalks that were requested. I think that's a fantastic example of citizens seeing a problem or a deficit in the city and asking for some help, and the city doing what they could to make that come to fruition. As someone who loves sidewalks personally and bought a house based on sidewalks, sidewalks matter, and so I think the more we can have in our city, the better. So I appreciate you bringing that to council. And then to answer what some of Mr. Edge's questions about the live stream and communications, I think Mr. Armstrong put it well with our goal for live streaming those meetings. I think inclusivity overall is going to be a goal for the city to make sure we're as transparent and available to citizens as possible. Those meetings are available to come in person. I know that's not feasible for everyone to do, but that is an option until we are able to fully staff the live streaming option. And then I can't speak for my fellow council members, but I know we do have a current system that my constituents have used, citizens in the city, that I'm not quite sure how it works exactly, but I know I get messages through the system that they go to their website and they enter in me as their council member representative. And then I've had a handful of communications that way. I know I also receive communications through texts and phone calls, and then straight to my email from citizens. So that's one way, or a few ways that I communicate throughout the year. And then I do limit my door knocking to just during campaign season so as not to annoy the constituents in my ward, but that is another avenue that I've learned many concerns that the citizens have in their perspective. I think questions about communication are relevant, and I would encourage my fellow council members to speak to how they address citizen comments, concerns, or questions as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hole, anything?
Not tonight, sir.
Mr. Snow?
I would also like to thank Mr. Patrick for coming up and speaking on the sidewalks. We do still have a two-block area north of Fairview on River Street, and we are working on putting that in this next year's budget to get those last 2 blocks that would connect basically all of the sidewalks to the high school. So we do still have a two-block area on River Street that we will be putting more sidewalks in, hopefully if we can get those in next year's budget. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ello?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Coffey?
I have a couple of things. So first, I also want to extend my congratulations to CWEP on being elected or being voted Water System of the Year. I think that's excellent. And then I always like to address concerns of my citizens. And this week, I've actually had complaints within the last 7 days from 2 different employees in the city working in 2 different departments, one of which is a CWEP employee and was accused of something. I do want to ask what our current procedure is, because
this person was accused of leaving the scene of an accident, and before they were ever contacted, their employer was contacted and notified of this. The person actually found out that they were being investigated because their employer reached out to them. This was a non-injury incident, and so I'm wondering, how frequently do we reach out to the employers when a person is not on company time, not in a company vehicle, and they are being accused of an incident, which, by the way, after they insisted that the video be reviewed, we determined that the employee that was accused was actually not at fault, was not involved in the accident, but the damage was already done because the employer was already contacted. So is that our normal police department procedure?
Mayor, would you like me to respond to that?
You're more than welcome to.
So yes, I did give a call to Mr. Bryan. It was strictly a courtesy call. I would have appreciated the same had it been my employee.
And so that makes it okay to report to their employer that they've been involved in an accident when we haven't thoroughly investigated it to determine whether or not they actually were involved?
That was a simple mistake. I went on the information that was given to me. Unfortunately, it was wrong.
It was wrong. And along those lines, there was another employee in another department that reports being targeted. This is part of a pattern of behavior, not just with the police department, but with other people in authority in the city. I have, like I said, I've heard from 2 different people. There have also been, in addition to that employee, there's been a former employee who has reported being accused of hit and run, has not been allowed to see any of the evidence. There have been some alleged reports of misconduct there, which I think could subject the city to liability. That concerns me heavily. I have a couple of people who believe that are either employees or former employees and believe that they are being harassed and followed. And all of this stems, and I know I personally have been targeted, lest we forget the censure incident. So I would really like to encourage the city to stop this. We cannot.
If you have a complaint, write it up and get it to me, and we will get it addressed. This is
Good,
not-
because we cannot continue to target council people, our employees,
Right.
or our citizens at large. This is not appropriate, and it is going to subject the city to liability.
Write up a complaint and come meet with me, and we will get it.
Absolutely, and I would like to, along those lines, if anyone else feels that their rights have been violated or that they have been targeted, a lot of times what people like to do with their victims is to try to silence them or to try to shame them. So if you personally have been a victim, I would encourage you to come forward to your council person, and not the person in authority, because some of those people are the people who are being accused, but come forward to your council people and report it, because that is the only way that this can be known and addressed. Thank you.
We'll move on to administrative reports. Mr. Dally.
I have nothing to report tonight, Your Honor.
All right. Chief Hawkins.
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Chief Huntley.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Ms. Almendinger.
Good evening, thank you. I just wanted to address some comments from last council meeting. The use tax funds allow for projects to be done that we would otherwise be unable to fund. The Parks Department receives 40% of those funds for 3 years. The Public Services Committee unanimously approved the allocation of $150,000 of the use tax funds for Rock Stadium renovations, and to date we have spent just over $90,000. This fiscal year. We're excited to have the high school baseball team back on their home turf this season and invite everyone to attend the ribbon cutting tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, just prior to the first home varsity game. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Cox.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Dagnett.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just very briefly, thank you, Mr. Patrick, for your comments. I did want to tell the council that the gentleman came up asking about sidewalks a couple council meetings ago. And Zeb Carney and I did meet with him, and he was happy to hear that the area that he wanted sidewalks in is the next TAP grant area. And we've already been told that we received that grant, so he's very happy. He's willing to wait the 18 months or whatever that we can get the grant and get the sidewalks built. So that worked out well. I'm going to repeat what Mr. Snow said just because it's important. So we do have, by April 1st, we will have all the components of the budget entered by the department heads. We will meet with each department head individually. That'll be me, Tracy, Mayor, Mr. Snow, and the department heads, and we will try to negotiate the amount of money we have versus the amount that needs to be allocated and prioritize things. And then the next budget meeting is April 8th, and that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Move on to reports against the city.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $739,003.35.
Ms. Blair,
Thank you. I make a motion to accept the report and allow the claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report and allow the claims. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to old business.
I have been told that the voting thing should be fixed, but this is our first meeting since that email, so. The second reading of Council Bill 24-18, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract extension with Blevins Asphalt Construction Company Incorporated for the annual asphalt paving contract for fiscal year 2024-2025 at $75.05 per ton of asphalt to include tack oil in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your vote.
You see that? No?
They lied to you, Miranda.
Mine worked fine.
I was excited.
Oh, wait, do we go, if we go out and come back,
I
it
did,
works
and it
again,
didn't. It
doesn't it?
says I'm in the meeting.
Okay, here, let's try it one more time.
Okay.
Is he talking?
I voted yes twice.
Vote early, vote often.
Yeah.
Didn't get it.
Okay, well, we have most of you, Trudy.
No, come on out.
Mark and Tiffany?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Gotta love technology.
It's all right.
Council bill passes.
There we go.
It works.
The second reading of Council Bill 24-19, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with JKS Construction Incorporated of Girard, Kansas for a box culvert replacement on Forest Street in the amount of $135,602.60 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your vote.
Oh my gosh, look.
Council bill passes.
Okay. The second reading of Council Bill 24-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract to sell real estate owned by the city of Carthage at Airport Drive and Missouri Avenue to Jaime Olvera for $35,000 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your vote. Council bill passes. We'll move on to new business.
The first reading of Council Bill 24-21, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 3, Officers and Employees by adding Division 10, Assistant City Administrator in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? All right.
The first reading of Council Bill 24-22, an ordinance authorizing the city of Carthage, Missouri to enter into an amended and restated unit power purchase agreement with Missouri Joint Municipal Electric Utility Commission, DBA Missouri Electric Commission.
Chuck. Alan?
I just had a question about the timing of this. Do we need to do second reading on this tonight, or will we be okay first meeting in April?
We're okay.
Okay.
Let's just wait.
I knew it had to, it has to be executed.
Second reading would be the.
April 9th.
April 9th.
Second reading would be the second meet, yes.
Yeah.
April 9th? Okay. I knew it was sometime in April that
Yeah.
we needed it.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Well, just because we have nothing better to do, I thought I would spend a little time talking about the fun world of energy purchase. Thank you, Miranda, for doing that. So as you are all aware, we've talked previously about the end of life coming for our Sykeston facility, which is a coal facility, and the opportunity for us in 2026 to move into a purchase agreement in the Dogwood Energy Center. Next slide, please. Dogwood is located in Pleasant Hill, Missouri. Commercial operation date was February of 2022. Dogwood acquired the facility in 27 as it was owned by someone else. Managed by the Dogwood Power Management Group, operated by NACE, which is a international power plant operating company, and those are the folks who actually manage the day-to-day action of the facility. It is an intermittent load unit, or started out as an intermittent load unit, which means basically it was put in place to be a peaking facility. So when gas prices, or when market conditions maybe occurred that put this into the market, or loss of another energy supply, this one was called upon. It transitioned to a market commitment unit, which means it is on all the time now, and it runs nonstop just about. That part of that is due to the quality of the facility and the management of the facility by both the Power Management Group and NACE. This is located in the SPP market. If you would go to the next slide, please. We've talked about this a little bit before during Winter Storm Uri and some other events, but this is the regional transmission organization that governs the energy use and transmission for that several state region. And the green star, for lack of a better term, is about where the Pleasant Hill facility is, and the little yellow dot is Carthage Water and Electric. Now, what happens in this is the SPP, the Southwest Power Pool, manages the resources for all the facilities in that market. They instruct you to build transmission. They suggest where that transmission needs to be. When you need transmission, they run through a study and say, yes, it gets approved, or no, it doesn't get approved, or it gets approved at this cost, and so on. They also are responsible for the reliability of that entire region of the power supply. And as some of you may remember, when we have had problems before, that has been the area of the country that has seen, in Winter Storm Uri, was hit very, very hard by the winter conditions, and most of the facilities in that region were offline. Actually, Dogwood was not one of those facilities at the time. Next slide, please. Thank you. It is a combined cycle facility. It's got 2 Siemens 501 FD6 gas turbines and 2 Toshiba heat recovery steam generators. So basically, it takes the gas turbine and uses the exhaust heat to create a steam generator. So when you say a dual cycle or a combined cycle unit, you're maximizing the energy output, whether it is in the form of kilowatt hours or in steam, and then reutilizing that and turning it into kilowatt hours as well. It's a natural gas facility, so it's pretty understandable, I would assume. There are 2 delivery pipelines for the Dogwood facility. One is the Southern Star, and the other is the Panhandle delivery pipeline. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here's just a cutaway when we talk about combined cycle facilities. This kind of gives you an idea of how that operates, and you see the life of the energy, whether it's steam or kilowatt hours, as it's recycled through and then put back out. You actually take the hot water and run it through a chiller system so that it turns it back into cold water, and then it starts its life again. So water is obviously a very key resource in the management of a combined cycle facility. And I thought that would be a good reference point for you to understand when we talk about the dual cycle. Next slide, please. Thank you. Dogwood is available for market operation. So again, it was started out as an intermittent, which would need a peaking facility, but the quality of its generation capacity and its management has turned it into a 24/7 baseload facility. And you have to also understand that the lack, or the negative view on coal and its continued pulling offline of coal energy has pushed gas facilities like this, which is a dual cycle facility, into a position of base load energy. Now, in my career, I would have never guessed this would be what it is today. This is base load energy. When I started my career, this was peaking energy for exactly what it was. It had a decent price, but it was able to ramp up quite quickly and take advantage of market conditions or offset market issues. And in today's world, it is a base load energy. And I guess it's got its positives and its negatives, but it's the world we're in today as coal continues to be taken offline at a record rate. In 2023 operation summary, new generation record, it generated 2,634 gigawatt hours. That beat a 2016 record by 227 gigawatt hours. So the capacity of the facility continues to output and be a very good quality. Obviously, those are high time usage for power plants. And in the fall and the spring, we call those shoulder months. You take them offline, you tune them up, you make sure that there's no big issue, or you schedule major modifications or improvements during those shoulder months and those outages. Next slide, please. Here are the owners of the Dogwood facility. So you have Dogwood Energy, that is Evergy, up in Kansas City. Missouri Electric, the Missouri Electric Commission, which is what we are a part of, and I have a seat on that board. Independence Power Light, Kansas Public Power, KMEA is the Kansas Municipal Electric Authority, or Association, I'm sorry, and then Kansas City Board of Public Utilities. Those are the owners of the Dogwood facility as we speak. Next slide, please. The Missouri Electric Commission participants, so there's some weird acronyms up there. MOPEP, which is the Missouri, well, they're all three of these below Carthage are power pools managed by our state electric commission, and they have ownership stake in generation facilities in Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, and also in Arkansas. And this one facility, these are the off takers for energy, which you see 150 megawatts going to the three separate pools, and Carthage taking its own. Carthage is not a part of a power pool. I think Carthage has had a pretty independent nature for a long, long time. And we manage these assets on our own without the pool involvement. But generally speaking, the pools do a great job helping the communities manage their assets. Of those three different power pools, the middle one is SWIMPEP, Southwest Missouri Power Electric Pool, and that is Monette, Mount Vernon, and the newest member is Lockwood, Missouri, who we do a lot of work for. And those make up the offtake of this segment of the Dogwood Energy facility, but those power pools have energy coming off of many other facilities as well. And Carthage will be the independent group, independent utility in the Electric Commission's carve out for the Dogwood facility. Next slide, please. So there's two elements that come out of the power plant, and I apologize for repeating this to a lot of you. There's capacity and then there's energy. And energy that's pretty self-explanatory, but the capacity part of that means we are instructed by the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC. We have to basically have enough energy on contract, capacity on contract, or able to generate enough energy to cover the load for your system in your community. That is a requirement. It's a standard of the Balancing Act 502 RFC02 to calculate planning and reserve margin that will result in the sum of the probabilities for loss load of the integrated peak hour for all days planning year one and analyzed per R12 being equal to 01 and comparable to 1 day in 10-year criteria. So that's a lot of fun, basically, to say you got to have power available to your community. You don't have to have the generation at your shop, but you better have a contract in place to take capacity when needed. So what utilities do in this environment is we have capacity agreements and we have energy agreements. A lot of times you can have both in the same facility, like we have in Sikeston and like we have in Plum Point. But in this case, The Dogwood capacity, we are not going to take advantage of at the very beginning. The energy, we will. And when I say we'll take advantage of it, it'll be put into the market and sold, and we are able to take the benefit of that. So just remember, as we talk about any of the energy services that we need to deliver or purchase from, there are those two major components that are substantial cost, capacity and energy. Next slide, please. Dogwood early purchase. It was supposed to be June 1 of 26. As you remember, I came to you last year. We talked about this. We've also done a transmission study that was approved about 4 or 5 months ago, that the energy, or the transmission will be available to us for the energy from the Dogwood facility on June 1 of 26. The owners of the facility came to the Electric Commission with an offer to move the sale date forward to avoid 3 separate tranches of a financing mechanism through the Missouri Electric Utility Commission. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to see where the Missouri Electric Commission is going to take the capacity agreement that is already in place for Evergy, which supplies, it's an IOU in Kansas City. They're keeping the 50 megawatt capacity agreement for the next 2 years. So that element of that is already accounted for 2 years. And then the Electric Commission will market the energy element of that into the market. So we will receive the benefit of the sale of capacity that is already established and contracted for, and then we get the variable benefit of energy purchase or sales when those become available in the market. So we kind of get a little bit of this is kind of, you said, the best of both worlds the other day, and it always scares me because in our world things blow up. But yes, it kind of gives us the best of both worlds. We get to get into this early. We don't need the energy right now, but we certainly have now we get to see, realize the revenue from 50 megawatts of capacity and potentially, 25. It says 50, but our portion is 25. 25 megawatts of capacity and additionally 25 megawatts of energy before we actually need it. That's a benefit. So the asset purchase agreement participants, Carthage Water and Electric, will see benefit in energy sales into the market. So basically, when that facility is generating power and they're putting energy into the market at X dollar and it is called upon in the market, we will ultimately see the benefit of that and receive the funds from the sales of that energy. Next slide, please. This may be a little bit hard to see. This gives you a little bit of a timeline. So if you look at the top bar, that's what this was supposed to look like in 2026. And SWIMPEP in the gray bar was coming online in 2025. Carthage Water and Electric was coming online in 2026. And then the MPEP was coming online in this year. And with the proposed date move up to 2 years, that dark blue Missouri Electric Commission energy contract of 50 megawatts is that will be leveraged today. Then next year, that 25 megawatts will be carved out of the 50 in the dark blue line on the bottom, carved out to SWIMPEP in 25, and then the Electric Commission will market that energy and use that capacity agreement in 25 and dedicate those revenues to us. And then in 26, all the takers who originally planned to be on that will be in their normal slot, in their normal position. Next slide, please. So using the budgeted cost revenue projections from Dogwood, that basically has looked at the trends for the capacity and energy, Carthage stands to benefit to the tune of about $3 million over the next 2 years for the capacity and potential sales in energy sales into the market. Now, Missouri Electric Commission costs cover the fixed capital expenses. They must generate at least $200,000 to cover the 50 megawatts of energy over the next 2 years to break even. So the upside is $3 million to us. The downside is it could cost us $200,000 over a 2-year period, which has not happened in the in the entire 22 years of that plant's existence. It has always been in the market and is at a very good resource and a very good location. Ultimately, just to show you how this benefits all of us, but certainly the city, is that this revenue of $3 million results in a $105,000 additional transfer to the city from the 3.5% transfer on gross revenue. So while it benefits Carthage Water and Electric, gets into this, helps us maybe buy down some other things, this certainly shows a benefit to the city as well in the tune of about $105,000. And if sales go beyond what is expected, that number just goes up. So the commission and the other power pools have already moved forward with this project, and they approved it 2 weeks ago at our state meetings, and we are the last ones on the docket to get it approved and move forward with the 2-year agreement as we move into 26. So, yes, sir.
I have a question. So what you're saying, basically, in a nutshell, is Carthage Water and Electric is going to, at the worst, risk $200,000 in order to gain $3 million.
Yeah, that's about right.
In layman's terms.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a win-win to me.
If this was a new plant and these numbers were, if these numbers in a new plant were, we didn't have the trend that we have today, this would be a different story, but this plant is very reliable.
Well,
and one of the,
like you said, it's been successful.
Yes, sir.
And it's on paper.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the better plants in the fleet that we have in the Electric Commission for the state. Any other questions? So, just to make sure, what you'll be voting on next time will be to move forward. I will be here if you have any other questions. If anybody wants to call me anytime and visit about that, I'd be glad to answer your questions. Appreciate your time.
I personally want to thank you for explaining it to those of us that don't know a whole lot about the energy business.
It changes daily. Glad to do it. Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move on to resolutions.
Resolution 2035, a resolution providing for the formal acceptance of a donation to the city of Carthage by Carthage Youth Baseball pursuant to city policy.
And I would comment that this is
As amended.
2035 as amended, yep.
Yes.
Your Honor, I move that we adopt Resolution 2035 as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2035 as amended. Any discussion? Cast your votes.
You know, I got tired.
So did I.
We'll delete and try one more time.
Here we go.
Tiffany? Nothing?
Oh, I thought you were asking for my vote.
Brandon?
I went back and came in two.
Resolution stands adopted.
Resolution 2036, a resolution approving the declaration as surplus to the city's needs and authorizing the disposition of certain Parks Department equipment outlined in Exhibit A.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2036.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2036. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Resolution stands adopted.
Resolution 2037, a resolution of the City of Carthage, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with NW Fence for removal and relocation of gate and fencing at Carl Luton Stadium in the amount of $8,881.23 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Ms. Enzer.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2037.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2037. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Resolution stands adopted. That reaches the end of this agenda. Mr. Eliff, any closing comments?
Yes, Your Honor, a couple. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all the department heads. Whenever there's a question, call and ask it, get it. If there's an issue, we get it resolved, and just appreciate that very much. Appreciate you chiefs, especially in the public safety, because that's mostly ones I have the communications with, and I appreciate it. Second of all, we had the opportunity to take our oldest granddaughter college shopping last week. It was down in Florida, and so I played a golf course down there. I paid 3 times what we would pay here in Carthage. It didn't even compare to our course here in Carthage. Our course, we don't realize what beauties we have, what great assets we have. So appreciate it. Thank you. That's all tonight.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cossey.
Actually, I realized partway through that I had forgotten to make a motion. My concern, so as most of you know, we vote a week from today. And we're going to be swearing in new council members because we have for sure 2 seats that are running uncontested, that are turning over. And I think it's going to be a night of big attendance. I'm concerned that we won't be able to seat everybody that wants to come and see the new council people sworn in. So I wonder if we might be able to find another location for that meeting so that we are in compliance with the Sunshine Act, so that we can seat everybody who would like to attend that meeting. And so I guess I would reach out. Do you know if the CWEP community room is available on April 9th? Does anybody know?
Just a minute.
Okay. Or actually, I guess I could make a motion. I would like to make a motion that we move the April 9th meeting to the CWEP community room or to the Memorial Hall, contingent on capacity of either.
We are available.
You are available? Okay. So, because I think that it's going to be a big night of attendance, so that is my motion.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to move the first meeting in April, either to Carthage Water and Electric's community room or another location, the Memorial Hall or some other location. Any discussion?
Can we tighten that up a little? Oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you, Alan? No. Can we tighten that up a little bit? Because, well, I know that the Memorial Hall has the biggest capacity. It also does not have the audio, the live streaming capacity. So could we tighten that up just to make it the community room?
Yeah, because I got the thumbs up from our audience here. So Mr. Bryant said that it is available. So I'd like I'll revise the motion to make it, to move it to the CWEP community room.
All right, so I've got a motion and a second to move the first meeting in April to the Carthage Water and Electric community room. Any discussion? Mr. Snow.
So I just had a question. Since we've renovated city council chambers, what is the difference in capacity of the community room versus what we've had here at City Hall? I know we've had chairs and live stream out in the lobby, chairs in here. I didn't know what the capacity difference was between here and the community room.
I believe our capacity is 226.
Okay.
Hey, Jason, what are we out here now that we've moved that wall? 100, and then I think we were 36 out here, 26 or 36 out here.
Thank you.
All right.
26. 126 now.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Who opposed? Mark and
No.
Dave?
2 noes. All right, motion carried. All right, any further?
So my other closing comments are for everybody here and everybody watching. As I mentioned, we vote a week from today, and this is possibly one of the most important elections in my memory and probably the memory of most people. Obviously, from this seat, I can't tell you how to vote, but I would encourage you to look at the candidates, what they stand for, and in some cases, the candidates are currently sitting up here, what the voting records have been. And if you're pleased with it, vote for those candidates, and if you're not, then vote for change. But the most important thing is that you do get out and vote and encourage your friends and family to do the same.
Thank you, Your Honor. Robin, I would like to thank you for your comments. They were very thorough on the communication with council members. I don't have anything to add to that because I think you covered, I think you were very thorough and you covered all the ways that the city has that they can access council members. And Mr. Armstrong, I would like to thank you for your explanation of the bridges. I think that was very thorough and accurate. So thank you very much. And that is all I have tonight, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Taylor?
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Ms. Blankenship?
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Armstrong?
No, thank you.
Ms. Blair?
I would just second Ms. Cossey's comments to see you at the polls come next week.
Nothing tonight, sir. Mr. Hall? Mr. Snow?
Thank you, Your Honor. Chief Huntley, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this, but, you know, you send out those weather reports. We have beautiful weather. Spring arrives, and we get this cold stuff that you've got out here. Can you see about those reports and get us some of that warm weather back out? Okay, thank you. Secondly, spring sports at the high school are in full swing. Practices and competition is starting. Baseball, softball, track and field, tennis. So I just want to wish all the Tigers best of luck on their spring season. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion according to section 610.021. The agenda includes the possibility of a vote to close part of the meeting to discuss leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration therefore.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into closed session as outlined by Mr. Snow. Any discussion? Cast your vote.
Well, tell me you did it, Julie. Hold on, I forgot to set time. I think that makes it sense. Really? Did you guys already?
Yeah, just got it again.
Twice.
There you go.
Alan likes to
I
go
got it.
twice. I didn't get it.
You were
yeah.
still a yay.
All right, we are going into closed session. Thank you all. Are we,
We're back.
are we good? Okay.
Thank you, Brandy.
I would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Easter this Sunday and extend the invitation, if anyone does not have a church that they attend regularly, to attend my church, The Bridge, well, Mr. Ellis' church, The Bridge. We have services at 8, 9:15, and 10:45, and you're welcome at any of the services.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.